Citron.
Welcome everybody once again to another episode of the Popcorn Watchlist podcast, where we celebrate our favorites in TV and film. I am your host Xavier, and today we're talking about a movie that flew under the radar but hit theaters and really rolled out to some surprisingly great reactions from moviegoers. It's also based off of a property that Anthony and I have grown up watching, and also from older siblings grew up watching the older stuff too. And we're talking about none other than Transformers 1.
Not the first one.
No, not the first one by Michael Bay. It's Transformers 1. Hopefully the first of we're hoping maybe at least one more like animated film in this kind of whole setup of the whole Transformers legacy things, and maybe even sells toys. Who knows? But I'm here once again with my fellow Popcorn Watchlist panelists, Danny, Anthony, and Zach. Say hello, gentlemen.
Greetings.
Nice in unison. Very cool. It's like
and we all said something else.
Yeah, I said something else. I like it.
Try to guess who said who. Or who said what.
Our voices transformed.
Wow.
Became one.
More on that later. No, but so I was actually really dying to get out to the theater to watch this because of really that word of mouth. And it's one of those instances where word of mouth can really make a difference, because you can ask Anthony and Danny, I forgot what movie we were watching, but when the trailer came out, I was looking at them and like, what is this? This looks really bad. I'm very scared. Oh no.
Yeah, I was the same. I was not impressed.
That first trailer was definitely not.
They actually put me off to watching it. I almost didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, and even with like what was perceived to be like stunt voice casting, I felt it was really apprehensive. Like kind of coming up with like the one-off zingers and just like really the out of context stuff, and then like a lot of just like random laser firing and people, characters jumping and like sort of transforming and other stuff going on. We're like, whoa, what's happening?
My hope is that maybe the initial trailers were to attract kids to go see the movie.
I think you're right,
because they were showing like the more like kid friendly stuff, like funny goofy one-liners, whatever it's supposed to be, haha, whatever. But then when you actually go to watch it, it's not like that at all.
No, it really isn't. It tells a pretty good cohesive origin story for the two main characters in Transformers. Like out of all this, like I really like how you see what's the character of D16 that turns into Megatron. Like his whole character arc is awesome. Like there were a lot of times where towards the middle of the movie, I'm kind of looking at Anthony. I'm like, everything he's saying is right. Like this makes sense. Like there's conviction. Like it's awesome. Like, and there's a lot of pathos behind it. And big shout out to the not animated, but to the voice acting. Because at first I was like, damn, like with Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime, that's it's heavy shoes to fill in. Yeah, like, but it's like towards the end it starts kind of growing on me. But Brian Tyree Henry as Megatron, it's weird because hearing all the older voices for Megatron and then seeing a younger one coming through, actually it grows on me too. Like it's cool. Like I find it's cool. It's good that Anthony has other opinions because I think he and his brothers have more of like the exposure. So he's always like my go-to Transformers guy.
I have a couple things I want to say. First, we were saying about what Megatron was saying. It kind of reminds me of that one line from Emperor's New Groove, where Kronk is talking with his conscience or his consciences, his evil and his good, and then the evil one starts doing like handstand push-ups. Like, I can do this, and then the good one's like, no, he's got a point.
Yeah, no, he's got a point.
Kind of like that, right?
Yeah, it's just like he's going about this in a way that's like very not what the character had been about from the beginning of the movie. It's like, whoa, this is a very drastic change. It's like, no, he's kind of got a point. So it's kind of cool.
And then the second thing is about the voices. I at first, like I guess I was kind of the same where I wasn't sure about maybe some of the voice acting or like the voice itself, the tone and the timbre and everything. But then towards the end, there were times where we were saying how like Chris Hemsworth sounds a lot like
Peter Cullen.
Peter Cullen.
It's like only towards the end, but like he's still growing into it. Yeah. Like he's kind of growing into like okay, like you can tell he's really trying at the end because he needs to get that deep voice. Like I can't even do it justice.
And then slowly starts to sound like Eeyore.
Right? Yeah. Peter Cullen's is too damn good.
Extending like every word, like the syllables are like they're more spaced out.
How old were anyone listening? How old were you when you found out that Optimus Prime is the voice of Eeyore?
I was probably like, I'm 26 now. I was probably like 15. No,
he's like,
I was like 15.
He's like, now today I learned.
I found that in high school. I think at some point I was like, oh wow, and then I started hearing the voice. I'm like, oh my god, it is.
Well, that kind of brings me to a very interesting point. We can't talk about this movie without talking about anyone's previous exposure to Transformers, if they ever had any. And especially, we're talking about, Zach brought up a point, like if the initial audience to try to bring in was a younger kid crowd who'd maybe never seen any of not just the Michael Bay movies, but not just the the cartoon from the the CG cartoon of Beast Wars from the 90s, or the original 80s cartoon, or like the one or two other animated shows. Was it Transformers Prime? I think that was.
That one was more recent.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
But like that one was out too. Like there's a whole bunch of those, and like maybe people weren't exposed to it, but I'd love to know what everybody else's like Zach and Danny's like exposure to Transformers was before watching this movie.
For me, it was just Michael Bay. I knew of Transformers. I knew what it was.
Michael Bay and Linkin Park.
Michael Bay,
Linkin Park. What I've done and
Shia LaBeouf and Mark Wahlberg. But so did you ever watch Bumblebee though?
From a few years ago?
Yeah.
No, of course.
Okay,
yeah,
good. Okay,
yeah, I've seen all the live action movies up to this point.
Because that's probably arguably the best one.
Yeah, arguably
It's wild to say. It's arguably the best one.
And that intro
was a little bit more grounded.
The intro was
too good.
Yeah.
They need to make a whole movie on that.
I think everybody said that.
That's what they want. That's what they tried to do with this.
I can't remember the intro. That was on the whole Cybertron.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was.
It was fully CG. All the robots.
You must go and take this. Like, and he's just gave him the mission. You gotta go out. Like you have to. And like you hear Optimus Prime telling you to do something, it's like you do it. Like there's this conviction and care behind it. Because we got to do this thing. But anyway, Also, there's other reasons why that movie's really good. Not just because. John Cena is the only smartest character in that movie, saying like, "Are we gonna trust, robots that literally call themselves Decepticons?"
And they did.
And they still did, and they paid for it.
Got.
Except for John Cena. But then you also have that, and they couldn't see him. That's why. That, and there was a little snippet of the great 1986 song by Stan Bush, "The Touch."
It's the best.
Yeah, it really is the best. It makes you feel like you've got the power when you listen to that song. It's so damn good. Anyway, I'm rambling, but yeah, Danny and Zach. Zach, you said only the movies, right?
Only the movies, yeah. But again, I knew, I was aware of what Transformers was before. I just wasn't. I wasn't into it because I had never seen anything before. I wasn't even sure if anything existed before.
He's like, I wasn't a kid in the 80s that was trying to be sold toys to every second of every living moment of my life.
Growing up in the early 2000s.
There you go.
So for me, the first entry to Transformers was back when Toonami was in Cartoon Network.
Oh, damn.
And I would watch Transformers Armada.
Nice.
That's the one. That's another one I was missing. Yeah.
So I think it was just that it was from 2002 to 2003. So I'm pretty sure it was that one. And then I had a couple Transformers toys.
Cool. What did you have?
I know I had a Starscream for sure.
Damn, of all the Decepticons?
Probably an Optimus Prime. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I had some other ones, but I don't remember what they were. But those two were like the more iconic ones that I remember.
I think I might have had like a smaller mini 2-3 inch figure, one that just
one click.
Yeah, run a couple of things and that's about it.
What did it transform
into?
None of the
bigger ones, I don't remember. One of them might have been It was a truck. I don't think it was Optimus, but I remember it being, I think, a truck of some kind, or maybe like a sedan. I don't remember.
A sedan.
It was a car.
Like a basic car.
Yeah.
It was a car.
You know, backfire, and it's just like a really bad Pinto, like it's just rolling up like.
So that show was probably my main entrance into Transformers, and then obviously the Michael Bay films.
That was only like a couple years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, because I remember
2007, right, was the first one.
I was excited to go see the first one.
Yeah, it was
When it
The
came
first
out.
one's good.
Yeah. And
It's pretty solid.
I just went on a trip, and I actually rewatched the first 3.
Nice.
Nice.
So only the Shia LaBeouf ones. But they were all pretty good. I had fun watching them.
Probably the only ones that matter.
True.
Damn, Mark Wahlberg.
Damn, you're wrecked.
But
I'm an inventor.
I forgot
I need to invent.
how good the first one was. The first one was really good. Enjoyed it a lot.
Nice. I know. I mentioned that Anthony and I had seen a lot of the stuff, like, especially from like the '80s. Beast Wars was like our jam. Like, it was cool. Like, I remember meeting him in college. We were talking about Beast Wars.
I
Like,
would watch
damn.
that in the morning before school.
Yep.
Like,
It's like,
eat breakfast and watch Beast Wars.
yeah, and like the older like reruns that weren't playing in the afternoon, they would play during the day. And then he randomly gave me a piece of trivia that back in Canada they called it Beasties.
Yeah, because in Canada they couldn't say
War.
the word war.
In the
I
kids'
think it
show.
was like for specifically kid shows. So
Like anything under a certain rating, like a
right, like
TV
TVY7.
Y7.
Exactly. So Beast Wars, they called it Beasties. There was another CGI TV show called War Planets around the same time. It was called War Planets here. Over there it was called Shadow Raiders for I don't know.
That sounds cooler.
It does,
You could argue
but like it was just I just thought it was funny that they had
Shadow
to
Raiders.
remove anything that said war in Canada, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, my
Is that still a thing, or
I
do
don't
we
know.
know? Does anyone know if
No.
maybe
I don't
that
know.
would have been
If that's
changed?
still a rule in Canadian
I mean,
TV,
it might
I don't
still
think
be.
so.
I think, are they traumatized by war?
Yeah.
maybe. But yeah, when I was younger, my older brothers, more so my oldest brother, he loved Transformers. So just me growing up, there were toys of Transformers that were my brothers, and I would just play with them occasionally, and he would watch the show frequently. And
What toy did you have, or which one do you remember?
I mean, there were a ton. I mean, Optimus, Megatron, the classic. We had one that we had for a long time. I know we stashed it in our closet for a very long time called Scorponok. That's kind of like one of the ones they did in the first Michael Bay movie, where it was like the scorpion in the
that's
sand.
There's
Yeah,
a
but-
whole like track I think that Steve Jablonski has, and it's the whole like desert fight that they had. In
But
against
the
Scorpion.
actual Transformer was huge. It was just like it was massive. I don't even know.
For
I
sure,
remember
they're
Grimlock,
like,
the dinosaur, the T-Rex.
Sweet
He definitely
and
had that one.
Grimlock.
for sure, Transformers lends well
Just sick
to
name.
toys.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
how the whole
that's
thing
the whole
was.
point.
It started off as like an original like Japanese like transforming robot thing, and then they co-opted it for
like
the
a
US
Gundam
stuff.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
Kind
Or,
of,
no,
but not
Gun-
exactly.
Well, I mean, I don't know too much
They
about
were still, like,
Gundam,
robots,
but
yeah.
I don't know if those like morph. I'm not gonna say transform because
Yeah.
that name's taken.
Transmorph.
But,
There's a whole thing on
Transfigure.
if you want to have some fun,
Or
watch on
GoBots,
Netflix. No, GoBot. No, they're not GoBots.
I know they're not GoBots.
Those are garbage.
It's like another version of Transformers.
Those are like these
I've
days.
heard
That's
of
like the
that.
Wish version of Transformers was
God.
GoBots. But
we have Transformers at home.
home and they're the GoBots. That was exactly it. Your family or your parents
Great
gave you
value.
GoBots. It was an insult, and you could never show those off to your friends. I
Get picked on the playground.
Dude, and then I watched the
There's one movie
'86
that too.
movie when I was a little bit older, and I thought that movie was awesome. I would watch it frequently, mainly because the animation on there, it was pretty much anime. It was Japanese anime versus the American '80s cartoon. It just looked way better. The art was way better, and so I watched that movie a lot when I was younger. And then soon after that is when Beast Wars came out. So it was like Beast Wars was like the original 1980s version was like my oldest brother's version, and then like Beast Wars was my version. It's like that's the one that I watched, and then Beast Machines was like the sequel to Beast
Sequel.
Wars. So like those two,
got the transmetals and everything.
yeah,
happened,
those two were like those were my jam, and I was already a fan just of the originals and of Beast Wars, and then when they announced those movies, I'm like I'm gonna watch it no matter what, and even the bad ones, like I watched them even though the bad ones were bad.
It's
But
like like
I
you've been
really
saying,
liked the first one.
Yeah, the
with
first one's
Shia
solid.
LaBeouf. Second one was okay. There was some weird stuff in the second one.
Your face.
I really like the third one. I don't know why. There's people that don't like the third
The
one. I
third
think
one's
one's
longer
awesome.
than like you would think, but it's pretty like the last like I agree with
Hour
you.
But there's an
and a
hour-
half
Hour and a half
so
is
good.
crazy
Fight
action.
sequence.
and
Yeah, it's
there's all
crazy.
this stuff going on.
So I liked the last one, but then
4.
Age of Extinction wasn't very good, and don't even get me started on the last night.
Oof.
The last night was
And then-
terrible.
And Bumblebee was really good, and
I
then
really
Rise,
liked Bumblebee, and Rise of the Beast was pretty cool just
solid.
because it was kind of like Beast Wars, the movie, but live action.
Ron
So-
Perlman is Optimus Primal, and that's kind of the bomb. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So
But now
I
we
like that one. It was
Now we have
pretty
like a
cool.
weird like timeline. thing.
Right.
I could do without like if it could be just Bumblebee and then Rise of the Beast and that's it. Like
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
If they were smart, they would include Anthony Ramos and Haley Steinfeld in the next G.I. Joe
Yeah.
it's a
crossover movie.
If you loved Hasbro in the friggin' 80s, this is for you. I have a friend that he safe to like it's one of those where like he was older than me, but when I used to work with him, we'd always he'd talk about like having a lot of the GI Joe sets.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up in Colombia, so he's like would watch the old like GI Joe and Transformers stuff, and like as he grew older, he had adult money. He actually had a lot of the collectibles. It was really really cool, and so like this would have been cool for him to be able to see like nowadays. Like look, we're getting GI Joe and freaking Transformers in one whole thing.
And I always liked the toys because it was like, at least for me, I felt like it was cool for kids
And they were
to
made
like
well.
learn how to transform because
Yeah.
they come with the instruction booklet and you could just read how to do it. But a lot of the time, we would like me and my brothers would open it and try to do it ourselves before we would go to the instruction booklet. So it was always cool. It's like it's kind of like Legos where like could open your mind to being more creative and figuring out how this car transformed into this robot.
And like I
Or a
mentioned
plane.
there, like they were intricate enough that they weren't just like janky pieces thrown together. Like they had detail, they had stuff into it because they were from like old original Japanese toys and like those molds they brought over to the U.S. Yeah, again, I think I mentioned it earlier. Someone called me, but did I mention on Netflix? There's the Toys That Made Us. There's a whole episode on
Yes,
Transformers.
yes.
It is awesome. It is really really good, and it gives you a cool idea of what this is, like of how it got 1980s toyified and like how it became such a massive phenomenon. But yeah, I'm very similar to Anthony. I saw a lot of Transformers stuff from my older cousin, who's probably he's like my sister's age, so 5 years older than me. He's right now like 41 or so. But yeah, he loved G.I. Joe and he loved Transformers, and he was also hyped too when the Transformers movie came out, like the original with Michael Bay when they first meet Optimus Prime. And they even have it. We're talking about our history of this, but going into this movie in Transformers 1, they have like some of the OG like transforming sound. Like
yeah.
you need to have that. Like that sound they had from the 80s is like iconic to the point where if you make something Transformers related and you don't have that sound, like why are you even trying? So getting a lot of that. I've always wanted an actual Optimus Primal, like the Gorilla set, and like Megatron, where like as the dinosaur, as the T-Rex.
And I had those when Beast Wars was out. I had those.
I never got that, but like
I'm sure you can find them.
later on, there was like Optimus Primal had some crazy transformation where he was like kind of like a metal gorilla, but also like a tank and like his robot form and the jet. I was like, the Transmetal one, like after whatever point story is. I had that and I thought that was like the coolest thing ever, and it had all your toy stuff, like it shot stuff, everything. So. Seeing these movies, there's a bit of like, you want nostalgia, but there's also like this, like you get from a lot of properties, like you really hope that it's good. But then, you're hoping that others can also see, like when you recognize that, hey, it's good, you want others to say, hey, look, this is actually really good. You should go watch it, which, long story short is really been the goal of mine with this movie in particular. Like anybody who's just like, like, is this any good? Like, there's not a lot out there. I'm like, well, hopefully if it stays out in theaters long enough, like, more people
Especially
will go.
now where there's
there's not much good. Like, hey, there's Transformers 1. You should go watch it. And hopefully, people will take some of that, take that little risk and go watch what is actually a pretty legit movie.
Yeah, it's a shame that probably those later two Michael Bay movies
Exist.
but they deterred a lot of people from probably watching future movies because Bumblebee didn't do so hot in the theaters either. And
Even though
I think a lot of
rated
people
really well.
agree that Bumblebee was pretty damn good. And Rise of the Beast was not like amazing, but it was better than the last
It's
two.
better
Michael
than The
Bay
Last
movies.
Night.
Yeah, it was better than the last two
Almost
Michael Bay movies.
Anything is better than The Last Night.
And I just feel like maybe a lot of people are just burnt out on Transformers. Like, I don't want to watch it because of those last couple ones, and it sucks because, at least for me, and I know other people that are fans of Transformers, when these movies came out, they would say, "Man, there's just too many scenes with the humans. Like, I want to see more with the Transformers." Obviously, they'll make the movie more expensive because they make them all CGI. But
And their
it's
their transformations are hella intricate.
Right.
Like they
It's a lot of
spare no
detail.
expense
Yeah, it's a lot of
with
detail.
with all the stuff going coming
like
through together
every
and changing.
gear, every screw, every
They did that, especially with the first
So
three
much
movies, a
detail.
lot.
Right, like,
Yeah.
which was impressive.
Yeah, it still is. Like you go
Like, it
watch,
still
watch that,
holds
you're
up.
like,
The
man,
CGI holds up.
It's really.
and then again, icing on the like cherry on top. They add the little.
Yeah.
It's,
But like even in the
They did in this one.
in the original cartoon, the majority of it is about the Transformers. There's human characters in it, but they're very much side characters. But the show is called Transformers, and it's about the Transformers versus the movies were more about the humans, like Shia LaBeouf, and the Transformers were there. And so it's like all these people are like, man, there should just be a movie with Transformers. And now they've made one.
Yeah, that's
and
this.
and no one's going to watch it, which sucks. And one thing is, it sucks to say, but there's people that just don't like animated things. They think it's for little kids. So it's like, I'm not going to watch it because it's animated. Or the people that are just burnt out by the previous movies and they didn't like the previous movies. So it's just shame. I think we can all agree and say, like, hey, whoever's listening, go watch the movie.
if you haven't seen it yet, please watch it.
You'll probably like it because it's actually really good.
Yeah, and like we were initially like, if you look at just scenes in the movie without any sound or any
Don't
dialogue,
watch the trailer.
the animation is really clean. The animation is really good. These robotic beings or whatever, just the characters they have like great shine and sheen. Like they have intricate detail on their characters, and even like stuff on the background, like the other like worker miner robots look really like still have great detail, and they're kind of surprisingly expressive. Like Bumblebee is surprisingly really expressive for him being like the kind of like wild goofy character out of the whole
He definitely
troop.
had some.
Like he
some
had
of the best
expression.
scenes.
Yeah, he had some of the best scenes, but like there's expression behind it. Like same thing with Orion Pax. Like he's the happy-go-lucky, hey, we got to break the rules a little bit kind of thing. And D16, there's a lot of great stoicism. Like when he was trying to like to have his scenes where he's like standing up for Orion Pax, or like, oh no, hey, like we're gonna try to toe the line. We got to do the right thing. Like you could tell from like the animation really lent to the character development, and there's great detail, a lot of surprisingly, again, we're on Cybertron, but there's a lot of color. Like that's the one thing that people would knock the Michael Bay movies for. There's not a lot of color on the robotic characters, on the Transformers. There's a lot on this, and it's visually appealing.
Yeah, it looked really nice.
Side note, I'm gonna put him on the spot. How was the water?
Was there water in the movie?
There was some in the jungle area. There was some water.
Yeah, there was.
A little bit of water. I guess.
Yeah.
There's no Toy Story 4.
He's like, it's serviceable.
Or How to Train Your Dragon.
It's not How to Train Your Dragon.
It
2.
wasn't bad to the point where you said, "Oh,
What's this water?"
that's trash water."
Okay, I'll do you one better. How are the transforming robotic landscapes of the surface of Cybertron?
That looked pretty cool. It was like
cool,
this
right?
cool like glitchy fractal kind of look to it, which was
Like with that frame rate type.
yeah, like cutting and like it looked pretty cool. I think that was well done, and I think the how they wanted to represent how the planet like. I mean, what was wrong with the surface? It was just kind of like unstable, right?
It seemed kind of stable, but also they lived in
Under.
what's the name of the freaking city?
Icon?
An Iacon city.
Icon.
Yeah,
Icon.
they lived in Iacon city,
They
and
lived below the
because the whole
surface.
thing is like, we're there's we're still
The
fighting
miners.
on the surface,
Yeah.
so we have to fight against God, what are the name of the Quintessons? Like, we have to like fight against them, so we're sending them supplies and we're trying to help them out for the war effort or whatever. It's like there is no war. It's the fact that the Quintessons are basically taking over the surface, and it's just everyone in Icon City is living a lie. So that's that whole plot point. Spoiler alert, by the way. Spoiler alert by Sentinel Prime, which surprisingly I have to say expertly played by John Hamm.
Did not know it was him.
Yeah,
I thought it was Will Arnett at times, but it wasn't.
There was a point where I guess he was like in the middle of like talking about the older primes, like, oh, he was the coolest one. I'm like, oh, that's John Hamm, because I hear Reverend Richard Wayne, Gary Wayne from Kimmy Schmidt. So like some of that character came out in like his like idolization of that, and I'm like trying to be tough. Like that came out, so I was like, this is John Hamm. Holy crap! So pretty good voice acting. Like, I don't know if one day I ever met John Hamm out of all the other things that, give him accolades for. Like, hey, by the way, kick-ass job on Transformers 1. I don't know if you'd appreciate that, but I think he'd be like, wow, thanks.
Not Mad Men.
Yeah. Not Kimmy, no. Not Mad Men, but no. Yeah, like, it's like it's nice to see a surprise like that. Or hear a surprise, technically. But, the animation's really strong, but it lends to just, I think that overall...
It looks really good, considering that I think they made this movie for about $70 million, which for a lot of new animated movies, they're over $100 million. At least the Pixar movies are definitely over $100 million. So I don't remember how much Mutant Mayhem was, the Ninja Turtles movies from last year, but that one was also pretty cheap. It wasn't that expensive. So it's just a shame. It's like, this movie could have been making a lot of money for only being $70 million, but
$75 million was the budget.
The 70 to 75.
I feel like
that's pretty good.
The difference between comparing this to like a Pixar or DreamWorks movie, I think is like the refinement of the animation.
Yeah, they take like 5 years to make a Pixar movie.
Because like with Transformers 1, the animation, and this is not to say anything bad about the artists involved with the animation. It seems like the animation was done to kind of like I guess to appeal to a younger audience. Like it's something that's elegant like a Pixar movie, like Toy Story 4.
It's very bright and shiny. Bright and shiny. It kind of has to be just because they're robots. But the funny thing that you said that is that the guy who wrote and directed this, his name is Josh Cooley. And he directed this, but he wrote and directed Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
So that was a hell of a surprise to me.
And he also wrote the screenplay for Inside Out. He's done a couple of things. He started out with Pixar, and now he's what studio did this?
This is Paramount.
So now I guess he's not at
which
Pixar
is also
anymore.
with TMNT.
I think he can still I think he's probably like, look, I can do good stuff. I want to. Maybe they were like, someone offered him, hey, you want to do Transformers? And he's like, hell yeah.
And he did it right.
He did it right. Look, like I need more people to know that he did it right. Speaking of doing things right, taking the trailer initially, like in that first trailer, there's a lot of out of context. There's a lot of out of context, like lines or just like action moments.
Yeah.
But
in the movie,
coming together, we have some like real, like some really good moments of just like, okay, this was genuinely funny and like well earned funny. Like,
in the movie it makes more sense, but when you're watching it edited in that, specifically in the first trailer, the trailer just made it seem like it was, because I'm fine with like kids movies. I watch Pixar movies and animated movies all the time, but like it really looked like it was a kids movie, but very kiddie. It didn't look like it was serious at all, and it looked like they put in all the moments with these like silly jokes that in the trailer didn't really hit, but in the movie they hit a little better. I don't know. Just I remember watching that trailer. I'm like, man, I don't want to watch this at all. And I think a lot of other people felt the same. So that's another factor that this movie had to take into account. That I think that's another reason why people aren't going to watch it.
This will be a lesson. They think the trailer looks cheesy.
They thought it was too cheesy and kiddie.
Yeah.
So.
Whereas, and then we go in through watching the movie and it's coming to the point like, wow, like these actually tie into like what would probably consider like fun and favorite moments.
Yeah, I think a lot of critics and reviewers and even the Rotten Tomatoes score and audience score, like
IMDb score is like 7.8.
Like, if you watch or read any of these reviews, I think the majority of the people are saying that this is a legit good movie and just nobody's watching it.
Hopefully, if anything, the studio could be proud of like, hey, like if people watch this, they think it's good. Like we have to find a way to market it more or something. But what we're speaking of, like, where it comes into like being fun, good moments, and like tie into again like character development, going and everything. Like, what were some of your favorite moments? I'll bring it out to the group basically to figure that out.
I mean,
I'd love to hear.
I think the race near the beginning of the movie, that part,
That's pretty cool.
that's kind of like the starting ground of the movie of like, okay, let's give it some action after like 15 minutes of setup.
I'll do you one earlier before that.
I'll do you one.
Fake transformation?
Yes. Why? Thank you.
Fake transformation.
That was the best.
Oh, it's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
He's just like, wait, I know I don't. He's like, look, I know I don't have a gear, but I can transform. And then the security guard's like, what the hell? And he just starts getting.
But it was like it's the way it was edited because like the camera zooms in on his feet and his feet like close together, and then it zooms in on like his arms. I think he like closes his arms, and then the next edit it just shows him running away.
It was like a quick.
Because like he does this, it goes to the other characters. Look,
It, like,
the
clicks.
guards looking at him. You hear the and then they go back to him.
And he made that noise.
Yeah, and he's just booking
He's
it.
already
running.
halfway down the
We're
hall.
like, oh my god,
Yeah, that part was great. Like if that wasn't a trailer, that already would have made the trailer better.
It was so good.
But it was one of the funny
Yeah, because like it could show like because this is what this movie kind of did, like showing a slightly different take on the origins of Optimus Prime and Megatron. Like Optimus Prime being like a slightly rebel, break the rules kind of person, and that would have been great to show off. Like, wait, you're in trouble. Like, no, I'm not. Watch me, and then just like dip. It would have been hilarious. But like, glad seeing it as a surprise because we were genuinely laughing at that. Like, and then we were like, okay, cool. Like, maybe people are right that this movie is actually pretty solid. And then, like Anthony said, like that whole race of like them being trying to be showing off the ingenuity. There's great moments of movement and like just like how fluid and easy to follow the race was still to be, even though they're going super fast.
And it shows like the beginning of like their friendship. Like you get to see how their friendship is at the moment, and then how it's obviously gonna
or even like like how like Orion brought in D16, like, hey, check this out, like, wow, you brought me over here, that's awesome, cool. And like, guess what, we're also in the race.
We're also gonna do what you
like,
didn't want to do.
He's like, I told you not. Like, so like, and even from the beginning of like him running away, and then D16's like, oh, that weird annoying bot, yeah, I think he went over that way, and then like. And kind of covering for him is kind of like just continuing their friendship.
The sticker,
the
sticker in the beginning,
the Megatronus sticker that he's like, yeah, I love Megatronus, and also bringing in Alita 1, that initial dig when they're trying to mine, and there's like a I guess like I don't know if it's like a energon like explosion or something. Collapse. And like they have to they go and save Jazz, and like, oh no, we can totally do it. And she's like, you don't neither have the touch nor the power.
It's nice.
They won't fire me.
Yeah, I was like, they won't
fire.
Yeah, she's like, that's okay, they're not gonna be fired. Like, it's like, you're demoted. She's like, what? And she gets demoted to basically sending scrap up. But I loved the little reference to Stan Bush. Jinx. No.
Have you guys seen the animated movie, the 86 one?
No, they haven't.
Oh my god, the soundtrack is so good.
Yeah. Even the opening sequence?
The score and the soundtrack. Both.
It's like good 80s.
Even if you don't like the movie, the music is awesome.
Even has Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it works perfectly. I'm just telling you. But anyway, what also works perfectly is the way all these characters kind of come together, and then like how after all of that they Orion and D16 get banished to like the sub levels of God knows where, and they meet Bumblebee. That voiced by Keegan-Michael Key. And then Zach loses his mind because he's like, yeah, I have friends down here, and he like made his own friends. What was the name of one of them?
Atron.
Atron.
Such a meta joke. It's so meta. Awesome. The first time because
we were all like, I can't believe it. They were like, oh, they did it. Like, I cannot believe they did it. Like, I wonder if like they ran it by him, or he's like, I need one of these robots to be Atron. Like, it needs to be Atron.
I feel like anyone in that theater that was just kind of like there casually seeing the movie
didn't get it.
Probably either didn't realize that it was Keegan-Michael Key, and if they did, they probably never seen Substitute Teacher.
Yeah, but
it's like over 10 years old.
There was also only like probably 10 other people in that theater when we watched it.
True,
which made me sad also. But
like,
I think they all got it. Like, they were all like, hey, Atron. Like,
I don't know if they did.
No, I don't think.
Dude,
I think we made all that noise.
I saw it twice.
We're fun to
with you guys.
By the way, we're fun in the theater. Like, we're not obnoxious. Like, we'll pop when things happen.
We'll pop when popping is necessary.
When popping is necessary, exactly. It's yeah, that was out of hand. And the whole thing is like, oh, he's crazy. Like it's like, oh no, he's nuts. And then that's where we get the whole MacGuffin. I'm like, oh look, this map has the thing, and we're gonna find the Matrix. And then they find their ways up to the surface. They find the whole conspiracy. They run into what's his name, played by Lawrence Fishburne, which also had a really badass Alpha Trion.
Yeah. His voice is so cool.
It's so cool. He's like the Matrix of leadership.
He says Matrix multiple times. I chuckled every time. Like,
I'm still
Morpheus saying Matrix.
In my mind, I was like, Anthony, shut up.
I was just like, he said it again.
He's like, there's so much gravitas to this. Like, don't let him say the Matrix again. But anyway, yeah, that whole bit where like they gave him like, hey, you're all meant to transform, and that's kind of almost like everybody has that in them, and there's good messages in the movie. They run, they all run away like trying to pretend how to transform, not pretend, like they're learning how to transform, and like someone's like halfway, like I can't see where's my head. Like they was like either Optimus or
that was B,
or B. He's just like, where's my head? I don't know what's going on.
That was another moment in the trailer where they showed that part very briefly, and then them like running away. And then they show like the jokey part of them not transforming, and it didn't play well.
Yeah,
to me, it was just like,
because out of context, you're like, why would they not know how to transform?
Yeah, it's like,
and then you see in the movie like, oh wait, they don't. None of them. Like, they were stripped from it when they were born.
All of them who were minors just don't have one.
Yeah, like they were forcibly taken away, and this whole thing, like Sentinel Prime, with this whole like betraying the Primes and selling out the planet to the Quintessons, like that's a whole thing, like. It hits really hard, and like that's part of D16's character development. Where like I idolize Sentinel Prime. He was the guy that's keeping everything together, and he finds out he's a liar and a fraud and a murderer. It's like
he's just like oppressing his people.
It's like oppressing it, completely keeping them in the dark and holding them back. It's like, dude, there's no more. And so it created the whole thing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna kill this man. Like, oh, he's dead. Like he's just, you see like dead set. Like it's not even like, no, man, I'm gonna kill. Like no, it's like.
When I think he says something like he needs to die or I'm gonna kill him. And
yeah, and then I know like
movie.
They were like, yeah,
he's like he needs to be like dragged out in front of everybody.
Yeah, and like Alita and Optimus were like, what is happening there? Like that's pretty harsh, and even more so, they're like, man. And what's cool then is they tried running away and they run into what used to be like the old like high guard of Cybertron, and it turns out you have. A great surprise to me, which I didn't know at all. Like you have some of the other like OG Decepticons there, like Soundwave, Shockwave, and obviously Starscream. Played by Steve Buscemi.
Yeah,
that was freaking awesome. And like first he had his normal voice, and that's because and they have him and Megatron have a fight. Megatron basically gets him by the voice box and starts like messing with it, and that's why when you watch the old 80s cartoon, Starscream has a really high pitched voice, and it's like. It's a callback to that where like, oh, it's because Megatron put him in his place. And there's always a thing where like Starscream will be like, yeah, I'm loyal to you, Megatron, but he's always trying to stab him in the back because of everything from there at the beginning. I was like, this is great. It's so freaking cool. And yeah, it's great development for Megatron. And you even see it's just like, well, like Orion looking like, what's going on with my friend? Like, this is really severe. And then, talking about other great moments, the times where there were actual fight sequences, they were really cool.
Like well choreographed.
Yeah, there were some really cool, like either mid-transforming, like there's the secondary villain, like Arachnia, like she had some wild stuff going on. Like just like
it was very cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like that was hard a cool to describe.
Character and like visually.
And obviously reminded me of Black Arachnia, which was a Beast Wars character. Also very cool, but
shout out to Beast Wars.
But this one is a freaking helicopter.
Yeah.
And it was...
She's a helicopter spider. It's so freaking cool. Like, there's so many really interesting and just like cool details in the movie. So I think like it's hard to describe the intricacies in some of the action there. Like there were points where like Alita was doing some like kind of like some like spinning roundhouse kick in mid transforming and back into that. Like it was really freaking cool. it's hard. It's you just watch the movie. Like if you want to see more, just how this is really cool, how this comes out. Like just watch the movie. The fights with Sentinel Prime when they finally enact the plan to expose him in front of all of Iacon City, and even to the final like showdown between Optimus and Megatron. Like that fight was really freaking cool.
I liked it was a quick fight, but when they all get their powers and then they run away. What's this guy's name? Alpha Trion.
Yeah.
When he's like, I'll stop them, and then he, even though he's like an old Transformer, an old Prime, then he like fights the.
What did he
Some of the
transform into?
quintessence,
Like
He transformed into like a cat or something, but he did some cool stuff, and then he made it smoke, and then he transformed into some.
Oh, he murdered all
some
of them.
beast and like destroyed, I don't know, like 20 robots.
Yeah.
Well, but earlier in that, earlier from that scene, I liked how when he was telling the story
was
about
like-
what had happened,
like the dust or something
that
like that?
sand dust kind of thing. I think visually that looked really cool.
Yeah.
So that's Zach's version of the water.
Yes.
The same.
The sand.
Has to be as good
my
as
fluid simulation
Sandman from Spider-Man 3.
moment of the movie.
Yeah, and like it again, Lawrence Fishburne adding gravitas to it all. Really, really good stuff. And like even the moments where like them trying to convince Alita to get in, like there was a point where after a little bit, it's like I wasn't hearing so much Scarlett Johansson as much like, oh, this is now like the character. Like it settled in, and like she was playing off the lines really well. So again, like I don't like.
I still heard her, but the thing is,
It's
for
so
the
good,
the thing is for the majority of the movie though, I still heard Brian Tyree Henry and Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for their characters, that's on purpose. For her, it's just like, yeah, it's kind of Scarlett Johansson. Like, so I don't know. So they all did pretty good.
Yeah.
Until the end, I feel
And
like
then you're like, whoa.
those two main guys got better, but that's because they became more robotic.
They leveled
based.
up into what they needed
Yeah.
to do. Yeah, like even Bumblebee is like, look, I got knife hands. I just cut a whole bunch of dudes. You want me to cut those guys behind me? And those guys are like,
The
nope.
run thing again.
And
Like,
they're running, they stop, they hear what he's saying, and they're like, nope.
They're like, oh hell no, we're out of here. Like, there's no way that guy. He's like, he cut some other dudes up. There's no way they're cutting me either. Like, we're getting out of here. Like, that was great. Like, and there's a good balance. And then you had the seriousness of just like Megatron wanting to execute Sentinel, but Optimus kind of takes the shot. But because he falls down, it's like, hey, he falls down in that sacrifice. Sort of like basically it's the god of the Transformers.
Primus.
It's like, yeah, Primus. He's like, you now have the Matrix of leadership. You've earned it, which is kind of wild because at the end he's like, oh, we need to make a plan. Like, okay, let's come up with a plan. And he botches the rollout a little bit in that one scene. He's like kind of like, I guess roll out, like, but he made it anyway. So,
But yeah, that scene was very cool because it was like showing at that moment, like pretty much Optimus dying and like falling, and then also showing, was it D16? What's his name?
yeah, D16.
Him becoming like Megatron at the same moment.
Yeah,
And
because
then it's
he
just,
took the cog that was Megatronus,
Yeah.
and then that turned him into
'cause-
Megatron. The full
and that's
red
because,
eyes, like
what's his face?
What?
Sentinel had it.
Sentinel
He
Prime
was
had
strongest, so I
Megatron.
took his cog. I was like, damn, it's messed up.
Yeah.
I liked
I mean,
when,
it's obvious that was gonna happen, but
Yeah.
seeing it happen, like nice, like, and the way that it was
The
juxtaposed
payoff was still
to
there.
parallel.
to
They
Optimus.
both
yeah,
became like the true the ultimate
like the
versions of
two
themselves.
leaders. Like,
Yeah,
But I like when you see D16 kind of like look down, the eyes like go away, and then
They faded to yellow first from being like red.
that was when he was initially from yellow. He was
Yeah.
when he took over the High Guard that they were following him because like
Yeah.
strength is everything.
and they were turning like a orange,
like
red.
a orange, yeah. And then after
but
that,
then once he
When
dropped or
he
pushed,
dropped it because
Optimus,
he's like, "Why'd you get in the way? Like you shouldn't have
dropped
done
it.
that."
I'm
And
done
just-
saving your
I'm
and
done
then he
saving
looks
you,
up, and then
it's full
on.
red, and that's like the pure red from their OG stuff, man. It's great. Like it's like when you know it, it's awesome. And when you don't, even if you
Brother,
don't, you're like, you
help
know
me.
what? It's still no, yeah.
It was very.
Mufasa like, yeah. Except Mufasa came back to life as a badass truck with an axe for a hand, dude. I was going to Anthony. I'm like, dude, if he comes back, he needs to have the axe.
and then it like
and then
twirls,
it spin, and then
Twisty
he
McFisty,
and even throws some of the axe at him. I'm like, this is amazing.
I remember hearing both of you guys like freak out when actually you're like,
yes,
oh,
here's the axe. Like there's like he needs the axe, but then he's like throwing like projections of the axe at him,
Like
and
he's
then
Link with full hearts, like when
and
he-
like
with
and
the
I
Master
think
Sword.
and I think Megatron normally because he has his big cannon. At that point, he had like a triple cannon.
Oh, yeah.
So then like Prime cuts it in half, so it brings it back to one. I was like, dude, this is freaking great. Like the detail to just bring him back into what like the characters that you know of originally, and how like he's still a tank. He's no longer a gun. That makes it more sense. Fun trivia fact: Megatron in the '80s show, he turned into a gun that Starscream shot because that's the ultimate Starscream. You're my peon. You're gonna do what I tell you. Like you better shoot me at this dude. And then it was cool. Then I talked about Soundwave and Shockwave, but Shockwave had like some cool moments, but also had a really funny moment. I don't know if Anthony you remember. There was something just like it's something with his eye.
I don't remember.
Yeah, there was something with his eye, but there was a really funny moment. And then
I gotta watch it again.
yeah, because I gotta watch it again. And then obviously like it was cool to see Soundwave like in his OG form. I think he had the freaky voice too, but like Soundwave always had this cool modulated voice. He was to me the coolest Decepticon because he was a tape player, and yeah, his tapes were robot animals. It's freaking cool. You know what? I'm not afraid to say it. It's freaking cool. Yeah, dude.
Just go buy some toys.
Just go buy some toys. That's what you know. What this whole thing was just a trick by Hasbro to be like, hey, you know what? Buy the toys.
But yeah, and I also think that so if you're a kid now and you never watched the old cartoons and you watch this movie, then this movie would probably be like the equivalent of watching the old cartoon of like getting you into this new thing, and you'd probably want to buy these new toys of these new Transformers. So.
I mean, it worked for me because after I saw this, I was like, I should go back and watch
Yeah,
some Transformers
it's
movies.
cool, man.
Yeah. Or you want to go? Hopefully, it's like, yeah, I want to go buy toys now. Like, Cybertronian tank is freaking cool, and then Optimus is a cool ass truck. Freaking Peterbilt truck. So, again, all the different sequences came together. Great character development. Danny, any other favorite moments that you had?
Well, I was gonna mention the when obviously they both switched to their main name character, but you guys already mentioned that one. I was just trying to think of another moment. I think when they're on the train, like going up to the top of the planet.
Yeah,
like that whole.
That was a cool
pretty
sequence.
Cool. And then obviously hiding from
The Quintessons.
yeah, that was.
Oh, that was really cool when they
like the
overhead,
laser
yeah,
and like stop, and then the stop in place,
like holding while they're under the little bridge to not get detected.
Yeah, and that was the same time where like again he didn't have to, but Optimus went out there to to save somebody. He did the same thing with Jazz. He did the same thing with Bumblebee. Like it goes to show you that like he's gonna risk it to help those that he cares about. And that's like great because that's like a good like inspirational leadership kind of thing. Like, hey man, he's gonna
like slowly getting there.
Yeah, he's slowly but surely getting there.
Foundations are there.
And we also had another quick edit running back scene again with.
Oh yeah, it was like immediately. He's already facing the other way.
Hey, is that coming towards us? And they everyone else looks, and then as they're still looking, Bumblebee's already running.
They did like
that's when the surface was like transforming faster than the train, right?
Yeah. That was legitimately funny. I did not expect that. Yeah.
And those weird like robot deer or whatever they were.
Yeah. Robot deer. They got blasted
very
by
like Horizon Zero Dawn kind of stuff going on
that's
there.
what it looked like to me.
Yeah. Anthony had said that next to me. He's like, oh, it's very Horizon now. That's just great details. I don't know. From here, anything else?
Jazz getting a body part taken out again. I was like, man, they're doing my boy Jazz dirty.
They hate Jazz.
I know, man. In the movies, he got just like cut in half. I think from Megatron.
That was in the first one.
No, I want pieces.
I want you eating
weird.
I want you eating
I don't know,
pieces.
but yeah, I don't know why they keep crapping on Jazz. And so Jazz is the person they had to save from the cave collapse, and then like when they all get out last minute, the cave collapses on like his legs, and they have to like still yank him out. I think he was only one leg, but
it's only one. Yeah.
But even still, it's like, man, come on, Jazz,
get it together.
do better.
Yeah, come on, dude. Help us out, dude.
But yeah, I mean, this is one of those where it's like you can get away with a lot because it's robots, but yeah, the movie's kind of violent. for
robot
a
violence.
kids movie, and so
Sentinel Prime gets ripped in half.
Sentinel Prime rips this dude in half, or no, he just stabs him, right? With the sword.
Yeah, he does.
What was his name again?
Alpha Trion?
Alpha Trion, yeah. He kills Alpha Trion, so it's like, yeah, you can get away with all of that because there's no blood.
Already lost.
And it's just like robotic parts being broken apart. But yeah, I mean, a very little kid may not like this movie, but I'd say like a 8 to 10-year-old, this is like their jam.
It has to be 100%. No,
but like, don't take a 5-year-old to watch
toilets
this.
Stuff. Like, no, man, watch that Transformers stuff.
Yeah,
that's what it's at.
I'm not even gonna comment on that.
Exactly. Don't even. My last thought before we all just recap and say just go watch this movie is I like the post credits teaser where like the Decepticons became Decepticons because the logic is we won't be deceived anymore. I was like, hey, you know what? That makes sense. That's very cool. And the Autobots, you think about it, Autobots are Autobots because they have their autonomy back from being, stripped of being able to do what they can do. Like, hey, we're meant for more. Like, now you are because you're Autobots.
And there's also a lot of them that transform into like automobiles, I guess.
Yeah, like different vehicles.
But I don't see why they would call themselves Autobots because I don't think they use that terminology.
No, but that's why it makes more sense now. Like, hey, they have their autonomy back.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, they're Autobots, Decepticons. Like, it's good writing. It's not just no John Cena coming out going like they call themselves Decepticons, guys. It's just like, no, it's because we won't deceive you. Like, that's that weird backwards logic. So, yeah, and then that was like, they get branded with the Megatronus sticker, and so you see the same kind of brand you see from the toy line, like almost spot on with all the characters. It's freaking great.
Ooh, and also when he, when I think it was
Sentinel Prime.
Sentinel Prime.
Oh, you like Megatronus so
yeah.
much?
Like
takes out the sticker and then.
He's like,
actually
now you'll
brings
have
him.
it forever.
Yeah, that was messed up. But again, great character development too, because it's almost like, yeah, you feel that Megatron's kind of justified in taking it to Sentinel Prime, but also they did have the ultimate plan.
If anything, it should have ended there, but it doesn't.
No, that's the ultimate plan. His anger kept going. The ultimate plan was just to expose him, to be like, hey guys, Sentinel Prime's a fraud, not to publicly execute him. But hey, things happen. And then at the end we get both those characters doing Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree doing their thing.
Post-credit scenes, no?
Yeah, there's two. The first one was Bumblebee with his robot friends again.
I got knife hands.
I got knife hands, and he kills A-Tron. Poor A-Tron. And he's just it's like I'm a big deal now. I'm a lieutenant. I gotta go up. I'll leave you guys here. It's so stupid. Oh man, he'll get to the character development where he just won't be able to speak anymore except through songs, but later on. So recapping it all, this movie's freaking great. Any final thoughts from the rest of the group?
I just hope they don't take the unfortunate weak box office and say no, we're not going to make another one. I hope they actually do continue it, and I hope people actually do go see it. Because it was a very good.
I mean, that's two great animated movies by Paramount because they did TMNT
back to back, pretty much.
Yeah,
and both was a relatively low budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did read somewhere where that it's technically through international box office has already recouped its operating budget of like what it was made, like and made more by like 20-something, maybe close to be like 20-something million, but. For marketing costs, they want more, but it's doing all right internationally.
And I'm sure now maybe some toys. Hopefully, the toy sales.
Well, that's what Hasbro is.
Boost.
I mean, it's not even that because I even think with Mutant Mayhem, I don't think Mutant Mayhem made that much of their either money.
Yeah.
But supposedly they think they made a lot of deals after the fact for the movie, like maybe putting it on specific streaming sites, which I think got the company more money. So to them, it was a success, and that's why they're doing their show, and they're gonna do another movie. I think they want to do at least 3 movies for Mutant Mayhem.
Mutant Mayhem, the budget was also $70 million.
70, there you go. So I think they might be able to do something similar to this one, where if this movie at least breaks even in theaters, if they can get some money back from streaming. I think I heard somewhere that these guys, this director, that they want to do 3. So I think
Of
it would-
this?
Yeah, so
That could
I
be
think it would be awesome.
It makes sense
if
story
you
wise.
keep make the second one, make it for 70 again. Like don't raise the
Yeah.
budget, or 75. Don't raise the budget. Like keep it the same animation style. If this one looked great, just continue it, and hopefully after this one, hopefully more people watch it if it hits Netflix or any other streaming service. Then when the second one comes out,
Paramount
they'll probably
Plus.
they'll probably see that.
Then it'd be called Transformers 2.
Oh God, probably. They should have called it, if anything, like Till All Are One. That's a
That's
Optimus
Optimus
Prime
Prime.
saying, and I mean that way you'll have one in the title, but it will actually like make sense with other Transformers stuff. But yeah, calling it just like 1, 2, and 3 would be kind of weird, especially this one. We even kind of caught ourselves saying 1 and then one
like,
for
no,
the
no,
Michael
not the-
Bay one,
not the Michael Bay
not the
one.
Michael Bay one, and not the first 1986 one.
Transformers
We're just
not
saying
one.
1 all over the place, and it might get confusing, but we'll see. I hope they can make another one, because they made the movie I think that a lot of fans wanted to see.
Yep.
No, absolutely. It's a movie for sure. It shouldn't be a sleeper hit, but it needs to, really hopefully not break out the legs, but break out the wheels and start cruising to a little bit more box office because it's just that good.
I'm sure it'll also do well on streaming.
We'll see.
I hope so. That's
I
what I'm
hope so.
saying. I hope people are like, oh yeah, I remember this was in theaters, but I didn't go, so I'll
Yeah.
just watch it at home, and whatever the viewing equates to money for the company that made it. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
I
that
think they
one's
have to
kinda
like
still-
sell the movie's license to the streaming companies, and they get a certain amount of money for it. I just hope that works out so that they're able to make a second one.
Or they probably just put it on Paramount Plus and
Yeah, but the thing is,
Call it in.
there's not even that many people that have Paramount Plus.
yeah.
So.
But I want to watch my Yellowstone. So that's why
My
Paramount
mom.
Plus exists. Yeah. All right. So Transformers 1, I give an 8 out of 10. That's me, just personally. But I don't know if we're doing numbers, but I just wanted to go from 1 and say 8.
How do you rank it with the other movies?
Which ones?
All of them.
It's
Even 86.
Even with 86?
Yes.
Man, you can't do that to me.
The thing is,
Okay, so
you realize this is the only other animated movie besides the 86 one.
yeah.
So,
as
it's like there's 2 animated
okay,
ones.
cool. So in terms of, I'm gonna say something really wild and out of pocket right now, but in terms of giving us more like Transformers and getting to know them better and realize kind of understanding them to see that there are more than meets the eye. Yes, I did it.
nice.
I'm the best. Anyway, it's definitely in top 3.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, it's
Three.
definitely top 3. Like it would
I
be
agree.
like it's hard. It's you
Like
know
a
what?
list.
I'm gonna cheat. It's gonna be like I'm gonna tie it a 3-way tie between not 3-way tie. Bumblebee and this tie, and then very low because of reason of plot. I won't spoil for these two. I put Transformers 86 under it because like the first half of the movie's awesome, the second half, and then it's like okay, this is what we're doing. But yeah, those are my top 3. And then the first Michael Bay Transformers is number 4, and then Rise of the Beast 5. That's it. Everything else is. And then part 3. Sorry, that was my 6th one. Then the others are just whatever.
Nice.
Mine would be very similar. I'd say top 3.
But you,
I don't know what
but you
order
haven't
yet.
seen the 86 one, have you?
He's
No.
like top 3, but 86 is still cool even though I haven't seen
My
it.
top 3 would be
Just gotta show him the intro. Like,
Bumblebee, this, and then the first Transformers.
Man,
Live action.
Bumblebee's good, man.
yeah, Bumblebee's really
Those
fun.
3, no order yet, but pretty solid.
Yeah.
I'm probably around this. I agree with Danny's ranking. I would give
You
this.
guys haven't seen 86 yet.
Yeah.
I would also give this movie like
You're
around.
daring to be stupid.
I know.
Around what X gave it like 8.5. I think.
They don't have the
So,
hunger
Damn.
for it.
We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him hooked on Transformers.
Like for my introduction to the animated
Oh,
Transformers stuff.
Yeah, like
This was really well made.
very solid 8. But yeah, I think
is that another thumbs up from you in terms of older cartoons
80s property?
like TMNT
80s property that got rebooted into something new. Yeah.
into animated form?
I've been pleasantly surprised with these movies.
Yeah, he's
so.
like, yo, Ninja Turtles, now Transformers. Now we gotta get him on some. Well, no, don't watch the G.I. Joe live action movies, but. You know.
Oh, I've seen at least the 3 recent ones. The ones
Retaliation!
with Channing Tatum and The Rock.
Retaliation.
I haven't seen
Retaliation.
any of them.
And then the
Oh, you saw Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes, yes.
I saw Snake Eyes.
I was gonna say I thought it was like
Damn it.
Cobra
I'm on a new
or something.
level. That's all I've seen. That's all I know of that movie. I never saw the movie.
It sucks that
The
Andrew
trailer was
Koji is
so
in that
bad.
movie because Andrew Koji is so good. Anyway, he should have been Snake Eyes instead.
So for
I take that. Yeah, you heard me, Henry Goldie.
straight nostalgia reasons, I have to say the '86 one is still number one because I've seen that movie a lot, and the soundtrack is just too good. I would put this second.
Yeah, I know we will. It's really good.
My third is a tie between Bumblebee and the first one.
First one.
First Shia LaBeouf one.
You know why the first one is also there as a tie? Because of Bernie Mac.
Uncle Bobby B.
Amen, man.
Bobby That whole scene is
Bobby
awesome. That whole scene was freaking great.
There was a lot of people in that first
In the
movie.
original one, yeah. Dude, John Turturro is a fever dream. Like he's insane.
So weird.
Anthony Anderson.
They got too many good people throughout the
Then
series.
Brian Stepanek, I think, was like his.
Stanley Tucci.
Stanley
was in-
Tucci's in the fourth
He's actually
one?
in
Oh,
two
that's
of them.
right,
Because
yeah.
he played Merlin in the damn Last Night.
What?
In the flashback
That's
sequence.
right. Yes, you
Oh,
are right.
Stupid.
I forgot about
Anthony
that.
Hopkins somehow was in these movies. in
Leonard
Last
Nimoy
Night.
was Sentinel Prime in Dark of the Moon.
Francis McDormand was in one of them. John Voight was in one of them.
John Voight was in the first one.
Yeah.
Was it John Lithgow?
And the
Was
guy
John Lithgow in the
from
first one?
from Blackish.
Anthony
Anthony
Anderson.
Anderson.
Yeah,
he's
in the first one
The first
too.
one, but was it John Lithgow in the fourth one? Who was the
John Lithgow.
No, it was
Stanley Tucci.
Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, Kelsey Grammer and
Kelsey
Stanley
Grammer
Tucci.
was and Stanley Tucci were in the fourth one.
Yeah,
Kelsey
like,
Grammer
We're
is
hunting Autobots. I was like, why? They're the coolest people ever. How do you hunt Optimus Prime? He wants to help you. Anyway, that's why I'm mad at the fourth one a lot. And shoehorning Dinobots. Anyway,
yeah, very
Yeah.
good movie.
and then we forget that
Movie's
Hugo
awesome.
Weaving was also Megatron for
For one movie.
for 3 of the movies. I think.
no, one movie.
If you're someone that watched,
One movie.
that listened to this
First
podcast,
movie.
that
I
just
think.
likes spoilers and hadn't seen the movie, go watch the movie. And if you've seen it and listened to this, go watch it again because they may not make another one because people didn't go watch it in theaters.
Yeah, please watch this. Like, I'm pleading, please watch it. Oh wait, Megatron.
guys don't
Hugo
know,
Weaving
man.
was Megatron in Dark of the Moon.
You guys don't
He was in all
know
3.
about.
yeah.
Dang.
The first 3.
You guys don't know about the universal greeting.
Oh, oh my God, Universal Greeting. Anyway, I'll save that for another time. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you like what we were talking about, you also have opinions or you also have some fond memories about Transformers, give us a comment and leave a little blurb on our social medias on Popcorn Watchlist. And if you're listening to us on your podcast preference and platform of choice, please like and subscribe. But until then, transform and roll out.
Later.
Later.
Lanacitron.